أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من سماوات الأعداء بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين ومن يبتغي غير الإسلام دينا فلن يقبل منه وهو في الآخرة من الآخرين قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي واشدد به أشري وأشركه في أمري كانوا ذابيكا كثيرا ونشكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بشيرا قال أوتيت سؤلك يا موسى آمين 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 إله. We thank you for giving us another opportunity to witness this Friday. Friday happened to be the best day among the days, among the 7 days on a week. Likewise, as we have the best month out of the 12th month to be Ramadan, and the best of the year is the day people gather in the month of Arafah. That's the day you can never have two. Yes, in a year. We appreciate you, and we welcome you back on to Youth in Islam. And as we usually have it, I have another scholar, a youth scholar, a lecturer, and an entrepreneur who is going to be doing justice on to what we have today. The topic today, let me just introduce the topic before you see the guest. Is we want to look at the relationship between the leaders and the followers from Islamic perspective. Yes, now in this day, particularly in Nigeria, things are not easy. Things are very hard. Then we always affiliate the hardship or whatever faith we have to the government. Yeah, that is it. Instead of affiliating it to Almighty Allah who created us. We believe that if anything bad happens to us, it is caused by our leaders, if at all. It seems to be like that, but we want to look at it from Islamic perspective. And whatever you look at from Islamic perspective is the best. That is what. When you look at it from that perspective, you are returning everything back to the Creator. I have Madam Adeleke Zulno 9 Olalekan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Alhamdulillah. Almighty says when he was teaching the relationship between the leaders and the led, we are among the led, and in some ways we are also leaders. Then the relationship between the governed and the governor and the government. Almighty says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I want to say that in terms of that relationship, but some instance he says that when there is conflict between among you, then you revert back to what? To the Quran, to the word of Allah. Now, regarding to what is happening in Nigeria, things are increasing day by day. Even you see many people who are using cars, who were using cars. Even they have their cars in their garage, but because of the increments in fuel every day now, some people have cars, but they cannot ride it. Then we believe that our governments are the one responsible for all these things. Regarding to Islamic point of view, how should we look at the leaders who are in the aims of their affairs?
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa mawala. We give thanks and adoration to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first without the beginning and the last without an end, the Alpha and Omega of the universe, who make us a Muslim. It is not by our knowledge, but it is a blessing from Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, when we are talking about the leaders, according to Islamic perspectives and the led, so we have to look at what Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Atihu Allah wa atihu Rasula wa ulul amri minkum wa in tanazza'tum fi shay'in farudduhu ila Allahi wa rasuli. So that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said. That is, He commanded everybody, every Muslim, that ati'ullah, the first thing you have to do is you follow the commandment of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and when you follow the commandment of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the first thing, that is the first injunction that Muslims should abide Muslims should abide by the rules and regulations of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after that, the injunctions of the Prophet Muhammad were ati'u rasula. So because he is the Prophet of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he also said it in another ayah that yes, I've given it to you, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, uswatun hasana.
قد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر.
So that is why it is for each and every one of us, we must follow what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has also said. So, and from the leaders, yes, Allah said that wa ulul amri minkum. So it is wow. They use that wow is wow atif from the perspective of the teachings of Arabic word. So that is, he used that wow to qualify
conjunction.
The conjunction word to qualify that is, as you are following Almighty Allah, you follow the commandment of the Prophet
at the same time.
At the same time, and you follow the commandment of the leaders
at the same time.
At the same time. So it's using the conjunction word for the three of them. So you should not in one way or the other segregate that, okay, I want to follow Allah and you want to follow the Prophet without following the leaders too. So if you
irrespective of their religion,
of course, irrespective of their religion, because you have to follow the leaders. They don't put themselves there. We should know that the Muslim believe that whosoever that Allah has put in the arms of affair is being controlled or is being allowed to be there by Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah said in another ayah that Allahumma malikal mulk tu'til mulka man tasha wa tanzi'u mulka mimma tasha wa tu'izzu ma tasha wa tudhillu ma tasha biyadikal khair innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. So Allah gives the rulership, Allah gives the leadership, Allah give people, those people Allah wish. That is why they were there. Whether they are there by hook or by any means, so far they were there, it is Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that put them there. So we have to follow their rules and regulations. Irrespective of their religion. Whether they are Muslims or they are Christians or whatever once they put in the positions of leadership,
we must submit to them.
We must submit to them. Compulsorily. Because that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted for us at that particular time. So, and every Muslim, as a Muslim, you must learn that, you must know that if you fail to follow the leadership, if you fail to follow your leaders, you have invariably, you have revoked what Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, that you should follow them. That is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that you should follow your leaders. So, and if you are following them, part of followership is that, the actions of followership is that you have to pray for them too. Yes.
Yeah, but madam, when you look at what is happening now,
okay, sir,
our governments,
okay,
psychologically or physically increasing the fuel that every soul depends on. Then, do they want prayer?
Yes. When we are talking about the hardship or you are talking about the increment in here and there, a lot of things has happened. Yes, but I want you to know that nothing will happen in this office of the earth without the knowledge of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, la tasqutu min waraqatin wala habbatin wala ratibin illa ya'lamu Allah. So, Allah has the knowledge of every single thing that is happening. So, now they want our prayers because they are being directed by Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if they punish us, they are being directed by Almighty Allah to punish us. So if they also do good to us, they are being directed by Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be good and to be fair to us. So through our prayer, so it's going to control them. Perhaps if they have bad things in mind to do, with our prayers, with our, we seek the forgiveness from Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the activities, upon whatever they want to lay their hands upon. Allah might use the followership prayer in order to get them alight.
Okay, let us look at protests.
Okay.
Protests. Some people last week, they wanted to protest. People, they wanted to go on strike. And we know the effect of the one we had the other time. Protests led to hijacking by the hoodlum and some other things like that. Even some people think that we recorded some positive. Likewise, strike. When strike goes, then government will lose. Even not the government, not the person in government loses. If at all of us loses. What is the stand of Islam about protest?
Now, alhamdulillah, on the protest, protest doesn't just arise. It arises as a result of when people feel injustice. So when the people feel that injustice has occurred, so that is why some people will decide that yes, it is time for them to demand for their right, or it is time for them to ask for something. Maybe they were cheated in one way or the other. So protest can be in different forms. So protest can be in terms of writing a letter to the leaders that okay, please, we want you to correct so things for us.
A protest.
It's also a protest.
Peaceful protest.
Please, do you get it now? So protest can be in terms of agitations, confrontations, going to the street, in fact, it can even go beyond that. So there are several means by which people protest. But as far as Islam is concerned, Islam does not allow anybody to have a confrontation, as a means of, requesting for what a leader does, which is wrong. No, Islam does not allow that. In Islam does not allow confrontation. Islam does not allow, going to the street, taking the placard,
disturb the peace of the people,
because it's involved.
What about sensitization? Protest in form of sensitization.
Yes, when you say you want to sensitize people, I've not concluded about what I've said about writing letters to the leaders. Yes, it is good. Islam accepts that, to write letters to the leaders, or perhaps you consult. You take along with maybe some people who represent the masses, maybe the knowledgeable one among the masses, the imams, the pastors, or those people that they are also the religious leaders, or the leaders of the society, the stakeholder in the society. They are going to meet with the government to tell them that yes, this is what we actually wanted you to do for us. So that one, Islam actually allows that. But going by the street, or a kind of
shutting people's shops,
because a lot of things happen.
Burning of tires on the road.
You see, when we said the protest, sometimes the protest might start peaceful. In fact, sometimes they will say that it was peaceful protest, but at the end of it, what's going to end it? And when you look at the history of the protests in Nigeria, there is no protest in Nigeria that has occurred that has never, involved the killing or the killings of people and destroying of the properties. Just look at what happened. In fact, before the independence, the protests have been part and parcel of Nigerian systems. Before the independence, there are some people in 1932 to 1925 to 1935. Where some women in the eastern region, they came out in order to protest about the increment in the tax. Also, when you look at June 12, look at what happened. June 12, 1993, look at what happened. It led to killings of,
as well as NSAS.
Look at just NSAS that happened just October 2020. Many people died. Students died. So what is the aim? What is the future of those people who die in the course of protest? Are you telling me that as far as Islam is concerned, when they get Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will be welcomed, or they are going to be given, or they will be regarded them as Messiah?
No,
they will never be regarded as Messiah.
Because I want to look at it when we get to the second segment of the program. Let us have a short side.
Thank you, bro.
To the second segment, where we are going to look at the life history of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he handled some of what we are talking about in terms of our protests and the Muslims, that is a relationship between the leaders and the led. And the king, I have a Malam Adeleke Sunurnen Olalekan again in the studio. Yes, Almighty Allah said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. And he also says that innaka, pointing to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that innaka la'ala ulukan azim. You are the best creature. You are the best among mankind. How And we learned that Prophet Muhammad, he also led protests. How was it then?
Yes, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. As you have quoted in the Quran, that لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Allah has indeed, put the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the in the positions of we have to follow him. So that is, he put him, he put the Prophet as an example. Yes, as an example, those people, we are going to emulate his behavior, his actions, his activities. When we are talking about the Prophet, yes, during the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a lot of things that happened. In fact, in Mecca, where they deny, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the food, they deny them, they deny the followers, those that are following the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they deny them food, they deny them a lot of things. But what did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did? Did he rose up against the leaders? He didn't rise up against the leaders. He was dialoguing with them. Yes, he was talking about, what should we do? What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do to live in a peaceful way, in an harmonious way? So how do you want us to live? And they said, you should do this, you shouldn't go to this, you shouldn't go to that. And he accepted. Yes, of course now, and he accepted. In fact, when they said that you should write, when they wanted to see agreement. Yes, they wrote, for peace to reign. Said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. They said the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to claim that Muhammad, yes,
to expose Rasulullah.
They don't believe him. And he told them that, he told those that are writing it that they should clean it, they should not worry. They said, those that are following the Prophet Muhammad said, Ya Rasulullah, are you not the, are you not the messenger of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said he knew.
For peace to reign. So that's our leader.
So that is our leader. That is how the
when we now have some Muslims who are now fronting this thing.
You see, when you see any Muslim fronting this particular protest of a thing, maybe he has the agenda. You see, this particular protest of a thing, he's been hijacked by several political parties, whereby they want to make use of that particular avenue
to fight their
opponent. They fight the sitting government. They make use of it. You see a lot of people
the peace of society.
Of course, because a lot of people, there are some people that they don't want this present government to be there. I'm not a politician, but I'm just talking from the Islamic perspective. There is no good. Okay, let's take for instance now, let's say as a principal of a school, it's just a similitude. Let's simplify it. A principal of a school wanted to correct a teacher. Should he correct a teacher in front of the students?
No,
so how does he going to feel? Let's see from home too. Our parents too, if they wanted to correct our mothers, can they correct our mothers in front of the children? So what the message are they passing across? So everybody doesn't like his own mistakes to be corrected publicly. Everybody, it is human that if you have a mistake, if you have committed an error,
no confrontation.
You shouldn't confront me, because if you say I've done it, what will you do?
Leaders are leaders,
and they will remain leaders. Because they were there, we are the one voted them for. We are the one that voted for them. We voted them in, and we believe in their capacity.
Are you canvassing for roundtable discussion or little protests and?
Sir, as far as Islam is concerned, there's nothing like little protest. It's dialogue. Yes, it's dialogue. You come to the roundtable conference. In fact, at a time, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, somebody come to the Prophet said that when I left, that there will be people that they will be leading, there will be leaders that they will stray, they will depart from his own way of life. So what will you do? There are some Sahaba that ask them, okay, if we see the leaders that actually, derail from your path, derail from the way we should lead people, the good leadership, what should we do? He said we should talk to them.
Subhanallah.
He said you should talk to them, listen to them and obey them. So don't confront them.
I appreciate you. May Allah reward you abundantly. That is Malam Adeleke Sunur name. We cannot exhaust all what we have. I hope everybody has heard it. Don't forget that today is Friday Jumat. Please make sure that you go to the Jumat as early as possible. Don't go when the Imam is on minbar. Go before the time so that you can pray for success for yourself, for your family, and for Nigeria. Let's continue praying for our leaders. Masalam wa ila liqa.